Good morning. This is Dr. Kenneth Proefrock, and we are discussing this morning alternatives to polypharmacy in conditions of neurologic impairment. It's kind of a wide, broad, sweeping kind of a subject, but the truth is that most of the patients that have neurologic conditions end up getting put on the same 8 to 10 drugs, and it's kind of a recipe. It's a one-size-fits-all recipe where there isn't a lot of variation in a lot of cases, nor is there a lot of individualization of the prescriptions for patients. And so it's a pretty huge realm that I spend most of my days with now. And so I'd like to share with you some of the things that we have found. So polypharmacy is a real issue in the United States, and we basically have a lot of products that are intended to, say, quote unquote, manage or fix a problem, and they don't always accomplish that. Cerebral palsy is the most common childhood disability in the United States right now. It is usually results from some kind of traumatic brain injury at birth or shortly before birth. It doesn't necessarily even have to be overtly traumatic. You don't necessarily know it, but you can have a hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy where a lack of oxygen for a period of time causes a rebound reperfusion of blood, which then in turn causes swelling of the brain tissue. And different areas get affected because depending on where the blood supply was compromised the most and how deep in the brain the structures were influenced by that hypoxic event. Histamine is also an excitatory neurotransmitter. It reinforces memory-dependent behavior, and it is made from histamine. By the way, there's certain bacteria that can live in your gut that can take histidine and make it into histamine. Histamine also modulates norepinephrine and epinephrine, and it also has a lot to do with arousal and attention. For constipation, sometimes you need to have a stool softening effect. Sometimes you need to not just have an astringent present, but also something that makes it so that the stool is able to be moved. And osmotic agents, mind you, because they're bringing more fluid into the stool to soften the stool, they are tend to be dehydrating. So you want to make sure that you up your water intake appropriately. Tiny little nerve endings, which are your sensory nerve endings, have to come through that fascia to let you know where you are in space and what's going on in that area. That those nerve endings getting entrapped in that tight fascia and in restrictive adhesive tissues can be really painful. So these sensory nerves are everywhere in the body. And in fact, the fascial network is basically one gigantic eardrum. It's innervated and it responds to vibration, and it is what kind of contains us. So does ashwagandha. Ashwagandha, the strength and the smell of a horse. Ashwagandha is also helpful. 1 to 5 grams is a lot, especially for a child. 250 to 500 milligrams is usually enough for them.